your vocab notebook should be open to a new clean page. Your textbook can be open to page 248. However, really your textbook probably doesn't need to be open right now because we're going to do vocab first, so you can just put it to the side, or if it's in the way, which it might be, and just make sure that your vocab notebook is open to a new clean page. Okay. Kingston, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Your book is going to fall because gravity is going to pull it down. It's going to take your notebook with it and potentially tear out that page as it goes, because you're going to grab that one page to try to keep it from falling, but the gravity of the notebook is going to be heavier than you holding it, which is going to rip the page out. Okay, the title of this chapter is Snakes. Just snakes. It's a one-word chapter title. So at the top of your clean page, you should have the title snakes, and then today's date, January 19th, 2021. Okay, we will have 7 words. So let's see, Aaron, you will have numbers 1 through 4, and Michaela, you will have 5 through 7. So make sure that you are putting a star next to the words that are yours. Okay, our first word is the word weekday. Weekday. W-E-E-K-D-A-Y. Do not put a space between these words. W-E-E-K-D-A-Y. Weekday. What kind of word is this? Smith?
A compound word.
A compound word, which means there are 2 small words in one big word. That's why we don't put a space. Because if we put a space, is it a compound word anymore? It's just 2 words. Compound word is 2 small words smushed together into one long word. Smith, what are the 2 small words in this large compound word?
Week and day.
Week and day. Well, that gives us an idea of what it means, because we know a week is the period of 7 days. We know the day is one of those. So, weekday is a noun. It's a thing. And it means the days of the week other than Saturday or Sunday. Because those are what? Saturday and Sunday are the what? Mason? Weekend. So Saturday and Sunday are weekend days. So what are the weekdays then? If Saturday and Sunday is the weekend, what are the weekdays? Carla?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are considered weekdays. Saturday and Sunday are the weekend. What do you notice about Saturday and Sunday up here? Cullen?
They're capitalized.
They're capitalized. Why are Saturday and Sunday capitalized? Zari?
Because it's the name of the day of the weekend.
They're specific names for days in our week, which means they are what kind of noun? Smith?
Proper nouns.
Proper nouns. Okay, here it is in context. On Saturday and Sunday, we have pancakes for breakfast, but on weekdays, we have oatmeal. Weekday, W-E-E-K-D-A-Y. It is one word, no space. It is a noun, it's a thing. And weekdays are the days of the week other than Saturday or Sunday? Number 2 is the word cardboard. Cardboard. What do we have again? Aaron. A compound word. 2 small words smushed together into one large word. What are the 2 small words, Aaron? Card and board. So should we have a space between card and board? If you put a space, is that a word? Is that a compound word anymore? No, it's just 2 small words, and that's not how we spell cardboard. So make sure when we have compound words for vocab, you are not putting a space between them, otherwise you're spelling them wrong. Cardboard, C-A-R-D-B-O-A-R-D, no space. It is another noun. It's a thing. What is it? Well, you probably have never thought, there's a definition of cardboard. Well, it's very stiff and thick paper used to make boxes. So cardboard, C-A-R-D-B-O-A-R-D, no space, is a noun. It's a thing, and it's very stiff and thick paper used to make boxes. So cardboard is really just paper. It's just very thick and very stiff so that it can be used to hold things. Quickly.
I thought Friday and Saturday were weekends.
No, Saturday and Sunday are weekends. Monday through Friday are weekdays. Otherwise, we wouldn't go to school on Friday. Yes?
Do you know why cardboard is brown?
That's just, I guess,
Is it because trees are brown?
maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Victoria asked why cardboard is brown. She thinks it may be because trees are brown and paper is made out of what? Trees. So if you have to make very thick and thick paper, it probably needs more what? Trees than thin paper. So maybe, I don't know. That's a good inference though. I don't know if that's the answer or not. Might be, might not be. But that's a good inference to make. Okay, here's the word in context. Sarah mailed the cookies in a cardboard box to keep them from breaking. Number 3. So Aaron, remember, these are your words. Make sure you're putting a star next to them. Number 3 is the word slither. Slither. S-L-I-T-H-E-R. Slither. S-L-I-T-H-E-R. Slither. Slither is a verb. It's an action, something that happens. And it means to glide or slide on your stomach like a snake. So slither, S-L-I-T-H-E-R, is a verb. It's an action, something that happens. And it means to glide or slide on your stomach like a snake. Now we may see this word in a different context. This is the present tense verb. We're going to see it in the past tense, which we'll learn about verb tenses next week, which just means we're going to add an ed to the end to make it say that it already happened. Yes, quickly. Stomach is spelled S-T-O-M-A-C-H. Here's slither in context. Listen for how we change the word to make it mean that it already happened. The dog slid under the house to fetch the tennis ball and then slithered back out. What did we do to the word slither to make it sound like it had already happened? Zadie.
You added ed.
I added ed. I added the d sound to the end. Slithered. Okay. Next word, number 4. Aaron, this is your last word. Is the word genuine. 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 You might also hear it as genuine. It's the same. It just depends on how people pronounce it. Genuine. Genuine. It is an adjective. It's a describing word. We haven't had an adjective in a long time. It describes a noun. What are those parts of speech that describe a verb called? Aaron? An adverb. But an adjective describes a noun. It describes a person, place, thing, or idea. And genuine or genuine means something is real or true. So you can have an object that is genuine. That means it's real. I have a genuine piece of gold from a gold mine. That means it's real. It's a real piece of gold. Or it can mean that an idea is true. I have genuine feelings of happiness for my friend who's getting married. So it can describe an object, which means that that object is real, genuine. Or it can describe an idea, which means that that feeling or that fact is true. Yes, Carla, quickly.
I know I came up with the sentence that has that word, and it is, I generate that the blood moon is coming out today on January the 19th.
Okay. I'm not sure if you used that word correctly because I think it sounds like you used it as a verb. So an action. But it's not an action, so you can't genuine. A person can't genuine because it's not a verb. It's not something you do. It describes a thing. Okay, so you could say, I have a genuine belief or genuine belief that the blood moon is coming out tonight. That means that belief is true. But you can't genuine. It is not an action. So when you guys are coming up with sentences on your homework, you have to make sure that you're using the words correctly. Most of you do, but every once in a while you take a noun and you use it as a verb. Or an adjective and use it as a verb. You can't do that. You have to use it as the same part of speech. So you have to use it as an adjective. You have to use the word genuine to describe something. Okay, here it is in context. A genuine person is sincere and natural. That means that person that we're describing as genuine, they're sincere. That means they mean what they say. They're natural. It means they are themselves. They don't act like somebody else. Okay, I have to erase these to fit the next. I'll start with number 1 and 2. So Aaron, those are all yours. Make sure you have stars next to numbers 1 through 4. And Michaela, the next word will be yours. So Aaron, make sure you don't put a star next to number 5. Number 5 is the word apologize. Apologize. A-P-O-L-O-G-I-Z-E. Apologize. Apologize is another verb. It's an action. Now this is where you can say I apologize or I apologized. So apologize, A-P-O-L-O-G-I-Z-E, is a verb that means to tell someone you are sorry. So apologize. A-P-O-L-O-G-I-Z-E is a verb that means to tell someone you are sorry. How do you think we would change this word to make it mean it already happened? How do you think we would change this word to make it mean that it already happened? Smith.
You would add ed.
You would add a D sound to the end. Not really ED, because then it would say apologized, because we'd have EED. But you would just add a D sound to the end. So if I want to say I apologized yesterday, I added that D sound. I apologized yesterday. Here it is in context. After you listen to it in context, tell me, is it happening right now? Did it already happen? So listen to how I say the word. Is it happening right now? Did it already happen? Or is it going to happen? Liam was sorry for breaking the vase, so he came to apologize. Is it happening now? Did it already happen, or is it going to happen in the future? Cullen.
It was happening now.
It's happening now, because what did you not hear at the end that would tell you it already happened?
A D sound.
A D sound. And if it happened in the future, we'd have the word will before it. He will apologize tomorrow. We'll talk more about that next week. Okay, number 6. Michaela, this is yours too. Is the word harmless. Harmless. H-A-R-M-L-E-S-S. Harmless. H-A-R-M-L-E-S-S. Harmless. Now this is not a compound word. You may think, because you're like, well, the word harm and the word less are 2 words, but in this case, less is not being used as a word, it's being used as a suffix. Remember, suffixes are letters that are added to the end of a word to change its meaning. So harm is the base word. The base word is just the small word that this big word comes from. Harm is the base word. L-E-S-S is a suffix that changes the word harm. We know harm means hurt. If somebody's trying to harm you, they're trying to hurt you, right? That's what harm means. The suffix less makes that word the opposite. It turns it into an adjective. So it's a describing word. Harm, we know, is a verb or a noun. I can either say, the snake will harm you, which means the snake is going to hurt you. There's the verb. Or I can say, the snake will cause you harm. It's a thing. It's a noun. But if I say harmless, that L-E-S-S turns harm into an adjective, a describing word. And it means that that thing, that snake, is harmless. I'm describing that snake as a thing that will not harm you. L-E-S-S is a suffix that makes the base word not happen. So, the official definition of harmless means that something cannot hurt you or harm you. So L-E-S-S is a suffix that makes that base word into an adjective and means it won't do that thing. So here it is in context. Crayons have to be harmless to protect young children from injury. I'm using harmless to describe the crayons, saying that they won't hurt a child. Okay, last word, Michaela, this is still yours. It is the word ambulance. Ambulance. A-M-B-U-L-A-N-C-E. Ambulance. A-M-B-U-L-A-N-C-E. It is a noun. And it is a special vehicle that takes sick or injured people to the hospital. We already know that, but now we have an official definition. Ambulance is a noun. It is a special vehicle that takes sick or injured people to the hospital. Guys, I need to talk to you about your J's. A lot of you would write this word as this. Or this. That is not what a J looks like. A J is not a tall letter. It's not a short letter. It is a letter with a tail. It has a dot, like an I. So you know how an I doesn't start at the top of the paper, it starts in the middle with a dot at the top, but instead of stopping at the bottom line, it goes underneath. So you need to make sure that you are writing your J's correctly. I'm going to start counting off half a point for incorrectly written J's. J's they start halfway between the two lines. They go below the line, and then they have a dot at the top. This should have been done like 2 years ago. You should have started getting counted off for J's like that. That's why we're in the 4th grade and we're still having to write J's correctly. Okay. Does everybody understand how to write a J? Okay. So again, an ambulance, a special vehicle that takes sick or injured people to the hospital. It is a noun because it's a thing. Here it is in context. After Andrew was injured, an ambulance drove him to the hospital. Okay. Okay. So everybody should be looking at page 248. We know this chapter is called Snakes. So look at this picture, and while you're looking, I'm going to read the talk about it. So while you're looking at the picture, be thinking about what I'm saying. How does this snake make you feel? Explain why you feel that way. Ethan, how does this snake make you feel? Okay, so it makes you feel maybe nervous because of his color. So Ethan said that this snake, he feels like it might be dangerous, which would cause us to feel kind of nervous or scared. Anybody have a different feeling? Yes?
I wouldn't feel scared because I feel like it was probably stuck on his head, but not scared.
Okay. So Kingston says it doesn't make him feel scared because he thinks he can defend himself against it. It's smaller than him. Okay? Mason, last one, and then we're going to move on.
It kind of makes me feel excited because I really like snakes.
So Mason said it makes him feel excited because he really likes snakes. So snakes make us feel all different kinds of ways. Some of us are scared because we're afraid it might be dangerous. That's okay. Some of us are excited because we really like snakes. That's okay. Some of us aren't scared because we think we can defend ourselves against this snake, which is okay. However you feel about a snake, that's how you feel. So are you wrong? Because our feelings about snakes are what? Zadie?
Opinion.
Opinions. And can opinions be wrong? No. They can maybe not be good opinions, but they can't be wrong because you feel how you feel. Now, those feelings could be wrong, bad, but you still feel how you feel. You can't prove it wrong. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and read this story on page 250. As we're reading, we're going to be working on making inferences. You don't have this. That's okay. I'm modeling how we're going to do this for the next 2 days. So you're going to be making inferences. Remember, making inferences mean you take what you already know, you take what you're reading, and you come up with a new answer. Now, when we say what we know, sometimes that means experiences we've already had, ways that we know we feel based on things that already happened. So everybody, when you looked at the snake and you thought about how you felt, and you said, well, because I've encountered a snake before, because I've seen a movie with a snake, or because somebody I know got bit by a snake. That was making an inference. You feel the way you do about snakes because of past experience. Now that may mean you literally encountered a snake, or it could mean your mom or your dad encountered a snake, or it could mean you saw a movie or a TV show with a snake. Those are all still experiences you've had that make you feel a certain way about snakes. So that's all making inferences. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be figuring out how someone feels based on clues we find. Now that may mean that we're going to use our past experience with things to say why this person might feel the way that they do. So as we're reading, we're going to be making inferences. We're going to be thinking about, okay, how does this person feel? Well, they feel this way. And I know that because this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened. And if these things happen to me, I probably feel this way. That's what we're going to be doing as we read. Okay. So, everybody should be looking at page 250. And Carla, please tell us the reading, let's see, what does that say? The strategy skill we're going to be using. This is on the bookmark.
We are going to be learning about making...
Okay, Carla, you're not listening. You're not on the right page. We're on page 250. You've got to make sure that you're listening and paying attention. Kingston, go ahead and tell us the strategy skill that we're going to be working on in this story. You're not ready because you don't have your face shield on. Ethan, you're not ready either. Mason.
We're going to be learning about base words.
Base words. Ooh, we talked about those this morning, or we talked about that a little bit ago with the word harmless. What is a base word?
Base words can help you figure out the meaning of a word.
So remember, a base word is the small word that makes up a large word. A base word is just the small word without a suffix or a prefix. Why are you not putting it on? You just got in trouble for not being ready, and then you're not going to put it on. So we can see an example. What is the base word that they show us here, Mason?
Harm.
Which means what?
Hurt, injury.
But then we see the word harm with the suffix L-E-S-S, which are those letters added to the end of a word. And now it means what? Without hurt. So that means the suffix L-E-S-S means without. The base word harm means hurt or injury. So if we put those two word parts together, we get a word that means without hurt or injury. It can't hurt you or injure you. Okay, Mason, go ahead and tell us the name of the title and who it's by.
Name that reptile by Catherine.
Let's. Good. Ooh, this is a play. So we're going to pick parts. Do not forget your part, otherwise I'll take it away and give it to somebody else. The narrator will be Zari. Zari, you able to read right now? Okay, the narrator will be Zari. Mark will be played by, let's see if I pick out a boy. Oh, you know what? I don't have any boys in here. Mason, you can play Mark since you were listening and following all the directions this morning. You were ready. So remember, Zari, you are the narrator. Mason, you are Mark. Jean will be Smith. Okay. So we're reading Name That Reptile by Catherine Lutz. Now let's begin. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. Remember, if you have a part, don't read the name of your character. When we go to plays, we don't hear people say the name of their character, then their line. Okay, go ahead.
Mark and Jen have been studying together weekdays after school for a big test on Friday.
Pause. That's the name Jean because we have J-E-A-N. We know E-A makes the long E sound almost always. So not Jen, that would be J-E-N.
Jean takes a card from a cardboard box. The card has the name of a reptile on it. Now, Mark will ask questions and try to name the reptile. Can you guess the answer before Mark?
Is it Sully?
Oh, you know what? Mason, can you come up here so that Smith can hear you so she knows when to say her part? Okay, I realize. Okay, so, and make sure you're being real loud. And so Smith, okay, so start your part again. Here, come up in the front of the camera. There you go.
Is it Sully?
No, remember reptiles don't have fur.
That's right. Where does it live?
Mostly in the southwestern United States.
What does it eat?
It eats small birds, rabbits, mice, and squirrels.
Is it a crocodile?
No, crocodiles live near streams, and this reptile lives where it's dry.
How big is it?
Some can be 7 feet long. Others are only 2 feet long.
It's probably not a turtle or a lizard. Is it a snake?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna switch parts. So go ahead and go back to your seat. Thank you guys, you did a good job, but just so that more people have a chance to read, we're gonna switch parts now. But before we do it, I know we're gonna be making inferences. I don't really know how anybody feels about anything yet. I know we're talking about snakes, so I'm sure somebody's gonna have a strong feeling because snakes are usually one of those things that people feel strongly about. They either feel like, I hate snakes, or I love snakes. There's not much of an in-between. Sometimes people hate them or love them at different degrees, but usually people either hate snakes or they really like snakes. Nobody's really like, snakes. I like snakes. Some people may not like snakes, but nobody really says, I don't really care about snakes. Okay, so let's think. We don't know how anybody feels yet. Nobody has said anything or done anything that we can also use our prior knowledge to put together to see how somebody feels. They're just talking about snakes. They're studying by asking questions. So the first question Mark asks, he asks if it's furry. But we know reptiles, do they have fur? What types of animals have fur? Victoria, mammals. And we know reptiles are different. They have like scales usually. So that makes us think, does Mark not really know much about snakes? About reptiles? But then we see that Jean says, no, reptiles don't have fur. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. So I don't really think that he doesn't know much about reptiles. I think he just wasn't really thinking about the kind of questions to ask. Because the rest of the questions we see, okay, I think he does know about reptiles. Because the rest of the questions are questions that reptiles, are things that reptiles would do. So that means he's starting to remember. He's not just asking questions, he's thinking about things about reptiles so that he can ask the right questions. Because if he keeps asking questions about mammals or even amphibians or insects, is he going to be able to get to the right answer? No. Okay, so do you think, based on what we've read, that Mark and Jean know nothing about reptiles, or they do know about reptiles? You have to tell me why you think that. So if you have your hand raised, make sure that you also know why. If you don't, if you're putting your hand down, think about it. Because if you think about it for a second, your hand's going to go back up. You're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah. Zari, do you think that they don't know anything about reptiles, or do you think that they do know something about reptiles?
I think I know they do know something about reptiles. I think this because they're just getting started with the questions and the answers. So they'll get bigger questions and bigger answers, and then that will lead them to the answer.
Well, they already know the answer. They know it's a snake now. But think about it. If they didn't know, make sure you're paying attention. If they didn't know about reptiles, well, first of all, would Mark know the right questions to ask? If he had no idea what anything about reptiles, would he know what questions to ask? No, he'd still be asking questions that that mammals only have, or that amphibians only do, or that insects only have. And then think about the fact that Jean is able to answer the questions. If she didn't know about reptiles, would she be able to answer these questions? No. Smith, make sure you're paying attention, please. Okay, so let's keep going. I still don't know how anybody feels about anything, though. I can infer that Mark and Jean know a lot about reptiles, but we're trying to make inferences on how people feel in this chapter. Helen, you will be Jean. Zadie, you will be the narrator. Trying to pick either Ethan or Kingston. Kingston, you will be Mark. Loudly. So again, Mark will be Kingston. Cullen will be Jean. Zadie will be the narrator. Read loud so the girls at home can hear. Okay, go ahead and begin. Louder.
Remember when my pet snake got loose and slithered across my head?
You are being so quiet and so loud. I might have to call a girl to be Mark. Because you guys have got to be louder and slower. You're going so fast that we can't keep up. You are so quiet that the camera and the girls at home cannot hear. You might be even so quiet that Cullen can't hear when to read her part. Try again. Loud and slow.
Remember when my pet snake got loose and slithered across my mother's foot? I had to return it to the pet store.
What did the store say?
I think they were genuine when they offered to speak with my mom.
Louder.
I knew that wouldn't help though.
Did you apologize to your mom and say you were sorry?
Of course, but she didn't change her mind.
Okay, back to studying.
Does the snake crush its
I can't hear you.
Does the snake crush its prey?
No.
So it's not a python. Is it harmless?
No, it is danger. It bite can
Nope. Read. It's not it bite.
its bite can be
That's
fatal.
a long. Oh, you got it. Okay. Say it again.
Its bites can be fatal. If you get bitten, you would need an ambulance.
What does the word fatal mean? What does the word fatal mean? Ethan? Bad, but even more than bad. Mason? Zadie?
It could cause death.
Deadly. Fatal is a synonym for the word deadly, which means something can cause death. So this is definitely a dangerous snake, whatever it is. Okay, keep going.
Yikes. Does it give a warning before it attacks?
Its tail snake.
Not snake. Go slow, use your finger.
Its tail shakes and makes a noise. Each time the snake sheds, its tail gets a new segment in it.
I've got it.
Louder.
I've got it. It's a rattlesnake.
Wow, is that how you would read that? What do we have in that sentence? We have two of them. Carla.
I got it. It's a rattlesnake.
Because why are you reading it like that, Carla?
Because there is a punctuation that means you need to speak in excitement or anger.
Good. It has exclamation points, which means you say it with strong emotion. Carla, you're correct. Either excitement or sometimes anger or even scaredness. Those are things we would say with very strong emotion. In this case, is Mark excited, scared, or angry? Cullen.
Excited.
Excited. He's excited. He got the answer. Okay, let's finish it out.
Did you guess the reptile before Mark did?
Did anybody guess what it was? What made you decide, before Mark said it, what was it that you were like, okay, I know what it is? What did Mark or Jean say that you were like, I know what it is, I don't even need to wait? Mason? It rattles its tail. Yep, that's where I got it too. As soon as Mark started to say, does it give a warning before it attacks? I was like, ooh, he's thinking of a rattlesnake, because a rattlesnake rattles its tail, it shakes its tail to let you know, don't come closer. But I had to wait for Jean's answer to make sure that was it, because if she had said no, it doesn't give you a warning, would it be a rattlesnake? No, because they do give you a warning. Okay, now in reading this page, we know that someone has a strong feeling on snakes. It wasn't Mark or Jean. Who was it that had a strong feeling about snakes? Zari.
The narrator.
Not the narrator. All the narrator did was set the scene and ask us a question. The narrator has no feelings in this story at all. Who feels something strong about snakes? Colin?
Mark's mother.
Mark's mom. How does Mark's mom feel about snakes? Aaron?
She does not like them at all because she made Mark.
Well, just tell me, how does she feel? What is the feeling? Not liking something is not a feeling. What feeling does Mark's mom have about snakes? She doesn't like them, but what feeling can we put with that? Zadie?
She's scared.
Mark's mom is afraid of snakes. So, when we are making inferences about somebody's feelings, we need to use a feeling word. So yes, we know she doesn't like snakes. And Aaron, I stopped you because you were about to give us the clues, but we have to figure out what the inference is first, right? Then once we know what we're inferring, what inference we are making, then we can say, I think this because. But when we make an inference about somebody's feelings, we need to use a feeling word. Not liking something is not a feeling word. But being afraid is a feeling word. Being disgusted by snakes would be a feeling word. It means that they think they're gross. Loving snakes is a feeling word. So we need to put a feeling word with it. And we can definitely say the strongest feeling that Mark's mom has is fear. Okay? Somebody tell me one reason that you know that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes.
Um,
Let's see, Victoria.
So brought it back to the pet store.
So the first reason we know that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes is because the snake slithered over her foot and she got upset. If you like snakes, are you going to be upset by that? No. If you're afraid of snakes and a snake slithers over your foot, you're definitely going to be upset. What happened next to show us that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes? She's not going to change her mind. Zari.
She said that he had to return it to the pet store.
Okay, well then what happened? That happened because of this. What happened next? Michaela.
He apologized to his mom, but his mom didn't.
Well, that happened, but something happened before that. So first, the snake slithered over her foot and she got upset, said he's going to have to return it. Then what happened? Carla?
Mark said that he thinks they were a genius when they
Not genius.
to speak.
That's not the word genius, Carla. And that if that was the word genius, it wouldn't make sense. So that's how we know it's not genius, because genius does not make sense there. If I read, Carla, mute yourself, please. If I read this sentence, this would not make sense. I think they were genius when they offered to speak with my mom. To make sense, it would have to be geniuses. So then we know, okay, that can't be genius. So we go back and we check again. It's not the word genius, it's the word genuine. So what happened next? You're on the right track, but what happened next? So first, the snake slithered over her foot and she got upset. What happened next? That tells us she's afraid of snakes. She's not going to change her mind. Zadie.
He said they thought they were genuine when they asked to speak to his mom, but it didn't.
Okay, so why did the store want to talk to her mom?
Because they thought maybe they could talk her back into keeping this.
Okay, so the store offered to talk her into keeping the snake. What do you think they were going to tell her to get her to keep it? Should probably use a vocab word here. Make sure that you're paying attention. Playing with your pencil or your notebook is not going to help you to understand this lesson and do your homework tonight. Victoria, what do you think that they were going to, how do you think that they were going to try to get her to keep the snake? What do you think they were going to tell her?
They were probably going to say it's strong and it is fun.
Probably. So the store offered to talk her into keeping the snake by saying it's harmless. Did that work? No, because if you're really afraid of snakes, do you care if it's harmless or not? No, it's still going to gross you out and scare you. If you are really, truly afraid of snakes, it doesn't matter if it's harmless. It still scares you. So what's the next thing that happened that tells us Mark's mom is afraid of snakes? She's not going to change her mind. Zari.
Mark apologized to her, but she still said, I'm not taking that snake again.
So Mark apologized to her. But we know she's afraid of snakes because after all of these things happened, what did she say? Did she change her mind? Mason? No. Tell me in a sentence, in your own words. Because I can't write no here. If I wrote no, do we know what that means? No. So what's the last thing that happened to tell us Mark's mom is afraid of snakes? She's not going to change her mind. What was the very last thing that happened? Cullen? Carla?
Mark's mom told him that they won't get a snake again.
Well, I don't see where it says that. But what happened in the very end? After all of these things, the snake slithered on her foot. She got upset. The store offered to talk her into keeping the snake by saying it's harmless. Mark apologized to her, but we know this is still true because what? Zadie?
Mark's mom still said no to getting the snake back.
Well, does it say that she said no? It never says whether or not they actually gave the snake back, but we can make an inference that they did give the snake back because something happened. Or something didn't happen. Zari.
Maybe she still didn't change her mind, but she had to promise that he would have to, like, keep it in his room or whatever.
Well, we don't see anything like that. We see something that tells us. We see some words that tell us they probably did not keep the snake. Victoria.
After when Jen said
It's not Jean.
Jean.
E-A says E, so it is not Jen. Smith, please pay attention. Okay. What do we see that tells us we can make an inference that they didn't get to keep the snake because Mark's mom is still afraid of snakes?
So after Jean asked, did you apologize? Mark said, of course, but she didn't change her mind.
So we see where he apologized. What happened next? After he apologized, what happened next or didn't happen next?
Your mom still, she didn't change her mind.
So, Mark's mom didn't change her mind. All of these events tell us that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes. The snake slithered over her foot and she got upset because she's afraid of snakes. The store offered to talk her into keeping the snake by saying it's harmless. That's something you would tell somebody to try to get them to not be afraid. Mark apologized to her. You would apologize to somebody who your snake touched who was afraid. But she didn't change her mind because even after all of this, she's still afraid of snakes. Now, these are things that happened in the story. We did add a little bit of detail here. We made an inference to say, well, they probably told her it's harmless. But the rest of it, they happened. We have the words. And even here, we have most of these words. We just added a little bit. So when you make an inference, you always put together your experience with what happens. Because we know if a snake slithers over your foot and you don't like it, it's going to be bad. We know that usually a store will try to talk you into keeping an animal. We know that if you do something to somebody that they don't like, you're going to say sorry. We know that sometimes people still don't change their minds. So by knowing those things and adding all of these events from the story together, we make the inference that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes. Does it say anywhere, my mom is afraid of snakes? So, does it say anywhere here where Mark said, my mom is afraid of snakes? Focus. I don't know what you have in your hands, but it's not helping you. Does it say anywhere here that Mark's mom is afraid of snakes? No, he never says my mom is afraid of snakes. But by everything he does tell us, we can make the inference that she's afraid of snakes. Okay, that's the end. Really quickly, I'm going to pass out your homework. And the directions say, use the correct vocabulary word from the box to fill in the blank. Spell it correctly. If you don't spell it correctly, I'm taking off a whole point. Because that's ridiculous. It's a vocab word. It's also in a word bank. Then the bottom says, number 8 says, write a sentence using one of the vocabulary words. You choose one, you use it in a sentence. Make sure you use it correctly. If it's a verb, don't use it as an adjective. If it's a noun, don't use it as a verb. You may make nouns plural, and you may make verbs past tense, future tense, present tense, whatever. But you cannot change the meaning of the word. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about vocab? Victoria, quickly.
Can you put 2 vocab words in one sentence?
As long as it makes sense and you're not forcing it. Okay? So make sure that if you do use more than one vocab word, that it makes complete sense. You're not just trying to make it work when it doesn't. Okay, look at the back. Make sure to read these sentences in the box. That will help you to do this skill. Then you're going to read the story and then make inferences to answer the questions. You are talking about how people feel about things. You do need complete sentences. So everybody, on the back, write incomplete sentences or answer incomplete sentences. So put this extra direction on the back. Write in complete sentences. Remember, adding a capital letter to the beginning and a period to the end does not necessarily mean it's a sentence. You must have a subject and a predicate. Don't forget commas if you need them. If you write all simple sentences, that is okay. Just make sure that all your sentences have a subject and a predicate, a capital letter at the beginning, a period at the end. Please make sure they make sense. They are homework, so you can definitely read out loud, or you can read them to somebody else. But if you read them to somebody else and they say, no, you write it this way, tell them, no, don't tell me how. Just tell me it doesn't sound right and I need to fix it. Right? Because you're not getting them to tell you what the answer should say. You just want them to say, hey, that doesn't sound quite right. Okay, any questions about that? Quickly, put it in your take-home folder on return to school, then stand up, push your